setting aside of what we have heard from the gospel, can you think of things that you would consider as you are on the side of being blessed by God? You set aside what we have heard or what you have read on the screen with the gospel. Can you think of those moments that you think that you are blessed by God? God has been so gracious in your life. And on the other hand, think of those moments in your life where you think your life is a curse. When I made those lists, it's a sign. When I made those lists personally, and setting aside the gospel, with my own standard, I thought of moments when I was with my whole family as a blessing. I thought of those moments when I was assigned in areas when I get well with those people I am working with as at the side of blessing. And it's too early. And I think of those moments when my life is cursed, when my life as a priest is upside down. When I encountered problems and difficulties and trials, I consider them as, I think I am cursed. I think I am one of those being considered as being forgotten by God. But you see, our own standard is different from the standard of God, right? You compare the list that you made, setting aside our gospel, with the list that Jesus proclaimed in the Gospel of Luke, with those blessings and woes of life. Are they similar? Totally different, maybe, right? Because Jesus said, blessed are those who mourn, blessed are those who thirst, blessed are those who weep. And these are the curses we consider, according to our own standard, as curses, right? And the other side of the woes of the gospel, we consider them as a blessing. Those who are filled, those who are receiving praises from other people, these are blessings. But the standard of God is different. We might say, and it is so easy to be tempted to think that Jesus in the Gospel of Luke made these as a hierarchy, or even separate the good from the bad, right? Or even separate the faithful with the unfaithful. Separate the blessings from the curses. Separate the graces from the disgraces of life. But you see, in the beginning of the gospel, it says, Jesus went down on the level ground. And that is very important, those words, Jesus went down into the level ground. This part of Luke's gospel, in comparison with the Gospel of Matthew, who presented a well-organized Beatitudes, right? Luke just presented 4 blessings and 4 woes. But in the Gospel of Matthew, they call it Sermon on the Mount, because Jesus was in the mountain. But the Gospel of Luke, they usually call it as Sermon on the Plain. Sermon on the Plain. And this is very important because Jesus went down on the level of his followers, went down into their own experiences. And so these, maybe, how about Jesus was not talking about the comparison between good and bad. He was not talking about the hierarchy of those doing good and those doing bad. He's not separating those who are receiving blessings because they are good people, or even those who are receiving curses because they are bad. How about if Jesus, going down on the level of his followers, was talking to the same person having the same blessings and woes? He went down into the level ground. And who were his listeners? A great multitude of his disciples, a great crowd of his disciples, and even maybe would-be disciples. And he is talking right now to us as his followers as well. He is leveling his sermon. He's leveling the way he teaches and preaches the word in our own experiences. Level ground. So that you and me would understand that we are also, or Jesus is also talking to us with those woes and blessings. Because in our life, we have those blessings and woes. At times, we consider our life as a blessing with so many things in life. Last Sunday, I intentionally got that afternoon Mass, 3 and 5, to really make it sure that I receive through feedback and warning. Because they said, Father, that Sunday, 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there would be few people attending Mass. They would come in the morning at 9 and 11 or even 7. Why? Because of Super Bowl. And I at 3 o'clock, really, comparing to other Sundays, only few attendees or churchgoers. And I thought to myself, maybe they would come at 5. Because 5 p.m. usually we have a big crowd. And lo and behold, as if it was a weekday Mass. Is it a blessing or is it a curse? If you won with the Eagles, is it a blessing in your life? And if you lost with the Chiefs, is it a curse? You know, many times in our life we consider blessings and curses. We sometimes even blame God when we receive not so good things in our life. Sometimes we think that God has forgotten us. You prayed so hard that the Chiefs would win or would win the game. You even visited the Blessed Sacrament to pray that the Chiefs will win that game, but in the end, they lost. Did God forgotten you or forget your prayer? Forget your prayer? Did God just set aside your intention and you were cursed? Sometimes in our life, we consider many things as blessings and curses, but in the standard of Jesus, no. Because we, as an individual person, we have all these blessings and curses depending on how we respond with those moments and situations in our life. depending on how we treat these moments of blessings or curses. Because in Jesus' standard, those we consider as curses, it's still a blessing if we respond it positively or we respond to it positively. You see, when we weep, when we are poor, when we are in trouble, when we receive a lot of not good things from the people, whenever our life is upside down, we thought that God has forgotten me. But we can respond to it positively in a different way, right? I always share this experience of mine because I have learned a lot of things with those moments in my life, those times when I questioned the blessings of God, those times when I questioned if God has really forgotten my family or even me, those times when I question if God really cares for me, if God really loves me, if God really blessed me. Those moments when we encountered in our family big problems and difficulties, I was already a priest. And they would encourage us. When we were still seminarians, our formators would always tell us, whenever you respond to the call of God, you leave your family, you stay whenever God sends you, and God will take care of your family. God will bless your family. And I always think of those things. And yet, when I became a missionary, Our Lady of La Salette, I left my family. But looking back, my family is having difficulties and problems. Where is that promise? When God calls you, God will take care of the family. My father suffered cancer. It was discovered when it was already too late. I questioned God. Isn't it when somebody respond to your call, you would take care of the family? Why did you not take care of my father? And there was a time that even many of my siblings have some difficulties in their family life. And I would go back to God and would ask Him, Lord, you promised me that blessing, right? You promised me that you would take care of my family. Where are those blessings? How come these are all great curses that I receive? But you know what? God has different standard of treating those moments. Because I realize those moments which I considered as curses and woes of life are blessings in disguise. Those moments made us siblings become closer to one another. Because our source of strength other than God is the strength of one another. There were times that we don't communicate with one another. There were times that we don't care for one another. There were times that we quarrel with one another. But when those problems or having those problems in life, it made us to open up with one another, to become closer with one another, to inspire one another. You see, beyond those troubles and problems in life are the graces. Sometimes we don't see. Sometimes we don't consider or recognize. Because our focus is only on those curses and problems that we consider. But beyond those curses and problems, there are graces and blessings of God. As what we usually say, we are busy picking up stones and pebbles. These are the problems that we consider, and we neglect that there are small diamonds beneath those stones that we are picking up. Our focus, our eyes is fixed on those stones that we consider hurdles of life. And yet, beneath those stones, there are diamonds. Beneath the stones are diamonds. Beneath the woes of life are blessings from God. Beneath the problems and difficulties we are experiencing are the graces of God. Yes, we sometimes question Him, but we always go back to what Jesus says. We are blessed because we are beloved by God. We are blessed not because we mourn. We are blessed not because we are poor. We are blessed not because we are weeping. We are blessed not because we receive a lot of unnecessary things from other people. We are blessed because beyond those difficulties and trials in life, God still loves us. God still cares for us. And we are blessed because we have, again, candidates to be part of our family. Sometimes being in this community, the St. Paul Catholic Church, would think us, will I join or not? Will I be one with them or not? Because of maybe of our experiences. Because maybe the way people deal with one another. Because maybe we don't feel as much as care for or love for one another. But you see, beyond our weaknesses, beyond our sinfulness, we have courageous candidates to join us, to be one with us, to be a sign of God's blessings in the midst of confusion, in the midst of misunderstanding, in the midst of quarrels, in the midst of problems in our community. We have here blessings from God. And would you consider them as a blessing? And you, my dear candidates, would you consider joining the Catholic faith wholeheartedly and fully as a blessing in your life? If you consider that as a blessing, thanks be to God. Because even you saw the many problems or many weaknesses of the Catholic Church, I know you've seen and you consider that beyond the weaknesses of the Catholic Church, there is a grace from God. And the grace of God is working and giving you the chance to embrace this Catholic faith. And if you consider joining Catholic Church as a blessing, not a curse, the more that we consider as Catholics, you as a blessing in our community, not a curse. My dear brothers and sisters, we continue to pray that either we receive blessings or curses, either we mourn or laugh, either we have those moments we need or moments that we are filled with so many things. God has been gracious to all of us. God has been so good to all of us. We are blessed because we are beloved by God. We are blessed because God has never forgotten any one of us. We are blessed because you and me is a part of this family we call Catholic Church. Amen.